Cybernetics.
Talk to him now.
AT, Andre.
Come on, Dre.
Yep. Trippin with Let's Go. Woo! Trippin with Theobold.
What's your name?
Theo so bold.
Yeah.
Driggity. Let's go. Trippin with Theobold. Trippin.
What are we doing?
Trippin with Theobold.
Come on, Dre.
One second. Mic check. 1, 2. We on? Hey, what's going on, y'all? Let me make sure my sound and my audio is good. Let me just double check something right quick. Hang tight with me. On. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Here we go. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the 84th episode of Trippin with Theobold. I'm your host, Andre Theobold, and welcome. We made it to episode number 84. We are still on and popping. Let me just do something right quick. Put my logo up. Okay, we got a lot of things moving around here. Let me just make sure I'm not doing too much, because when you do too much, that's when you mess up, right? So let me just make sure we are good. Okay, good. Hey, y'all, welcome to the 84th episode of Trippin with Theobold. I'm your host, Andre Theobold. Like I said already, we are here. So before I go any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, do all that fun internet stuff like the old people say. As you guys can see right now, I am rocking my old school Tacoma Academy. I'm getting the microphone. I'm rocking my old school Tacoma Academy PE shirt. I'm rocking the old PE shirt from back in the day. As y'all can see, I didn't grow, because I can still wear this PE shirt, but it's all good. And then as y'all can see, I got my Montreal Expos hat on. For those of you guys that don't know, the Washington Nationals are the former Montreal Expos, so just trying to throw the obvious out there, to make sure we're not confused and lost and turned out on this episode. But now here we are, episode number 84, man. We're going to go ahead and kick it off. Let's go ahead and get started with the tongue twisties. I got to get started with the tongue twisties, to make sure that the brain and mouth are connected to prevent less trippage. I mean, I know the show is called Trippin with Theobold, and y'all want to see me trip every now and again, but, we going to trip, but I want to make sure I minimize the trippage. So let's go ahead and get to it. So here we go. So today is the 26th of May. So we're going to do tongue twisties with start with the 26th letter of the alphabet, which is Z. So here we go. So you guys can read along with me or watch me struggle. Totally up to you. No pressure. No pressure at all. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and read these off. Okay. So follow along with me. Z. ZZ zippy zipper zips. ZZ. I messed that one up bad. ZZ's zippy zipper zips. ZZ zippy zipper zips. Zithers slither slowly south. Zithers slither slowly south. Zithers slither slowly south. I don't know what a zither is. I should probably look it up, right? And then the last one, Zachary zenith zones on the zodiac and Zen. Zachary zenith zones on the zodiac and Zen. One more again. Zachary zenith zones on the zodiac and Zen. So boom, we got the tongue twisties out the way. Tongue twisties are good. We are here. Mouth is all warmed up. Pause. Let me make sure my audio is doing what I think it should be doing. We are here. Mouth is all warmed up. Pause. Okay, now we good. So today's episode, as you guys know by now, I'm a big time Buffalo Bills fan, and I like to tie my episodes to Buffalo Bills of past and present. So today's episode is tied to none other than the great Keith McKiller. Keith McKellar, number 84. Let me just make sure this thing is kind of big. Let me shrink this down a little. Oh, you guys can't see it because I'm still in my production mode. Give me 1 second. There we go. Do this so y'all can see who I'm talking about. Boom. Okay, why isn't there we go. Keith McKellar, number 84 for the Buffalo Bills. Tight end. Early 90s. Super Bowl run tight end. So what a lot of people don't realize, man, is that Keith McKellar was that the K gun, which is the offense that Jim Kelly ran, was named after Keith McKellar. Right? It was called the K gun because his ability to shift around in the line, or his ability to make adjustments on the line or whatever, basically Keith McKellar's athleticism gave Jim Kelly more opportunity or more ability to change up the plays on the fly, right? So the K gun, a lot of people think the K gun was named after Jim Kelly, but it wasn't. It was named after Keith McKellar. So one thing I didn't realize about Keith McKellar though was that I didn't realize that he played with the Bills through all 4 Super Bowls, right? Because episode 88 coming up is going to be tied to episode 88 is going to be tied to let me make sure I see something right quick. Yeah, let me disconnect something right quick. Do that. Yeah, so Keith McKellar, what a lot of people don't realize is that I already said that part. No, but number 88. So 88, towards the end of the Super Bowl run era, was Pete Messelar's, right? So Pete Messelar's got a lot of the attention, a lot of the passes. But I forgot that Keith McKellar still played with the Bills in all 4 Super Bowls, you know? So I didn't even realize that. So if you look here, that's him from Super Bowl 28, where we lost to the Cowboys again. That's Super Bowl 20. That's Super Bowl 28. Sorry, Super Bowl 25. Yeah, Super Bowl 28 in Atlanta when we lost to the Cowboys for the second time. So, but nah, Keith McKellar, cornerstone player on the Ring of Honor in Buffalo. Shout out to number 84, Keith McKellar. This episode is tied to him, number 84, Keith McKellar. So we did that. We did the tongue twisties, got those out the way. Let me take these earplugs out for a second. There we go. Yeah, so we did that. So now let's go ahead and get into what we are going to be talking about today. All right, today we are talking some hot boxing. All right, we're going to talk about boxing today, you know, because, you know, the fight last week, I'm pretty sure you guys saw it, you know, the Loma Devin Haney fight. I'm pretty sure you guys saw that fight. Now, the goal of this episode is not to convince you to change their opinion of what your eyes showed you last week or last Saturday. I'm not trying to convince nobody. I'm not going to do an analysis. I'm not doing a breakdown round by round of that fight. I feel like it's a waste of time, you know. It was a great fight, very entertaining fight. But it's very frustrating when, you know, it's very frustrating how boxing is scored and how things are determined. Like I said, I love boxing. I like watching boxing. I think it's a fascinating sport. It's a science and an art, you know. It's very like a lot of people don't realize, you know, like, you know, sparring or getting in a round and doing a round is hard, you know. Most people that are in shape probably can't do 3 rounds, or they'll probably struggle to spar 3 rounds. You know, there's so much that goes into the sport of boxing, you know. So I have a deep respect for the sport. I want to learn it. I want to, like I said, get in the ring and mix it up every now and again, just to kind of see where I'm at, to see what I don't know. But nah, But I watched a couple analyses. A couple analyses. I forgot the plural of analysis, but I watched some people break down the fight round by round, and I'm sitting there like, man, how are you looking at this one fight from this one angle and saying whether something wasn't a hit or it wasn't a hit? And it's just like, okay, whatever, you know. So I'm basically, you know, me. I like to be productive, you know. I like to be constructive, you know. I'm not one to just complain about a problem. I like to state what the problem is and then give solutions on how the problem can be fixed. Let me put my chat in here to see who's checking in on little old me right quick. And right now, see who's checking in. Oh snap, I got someone checking in already, I think. Hey, what's up, babe? Yeah, okay, Terry's in here. Cool. Hey, what's going on? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm seeing all my comments in here. So, but nah, I want to basically just kind of go through kind of issues that I see with the sport. Or there's no issue with the actual sport of boxing. It really is more about the how things are scored and you know, who or how things are determined, right? That's kind of like my issue. It's really more on the back end of boxing. So we're going to talk about that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Let me get some drink of water. My voice is getting a little parched right quick. There we go. So we here. So yeah, so I have three major issues with how they score boxing right now, or how things are determined. So my first issue with boxing is in my opinion, the round by rounds are too opinionated, right? Like you have the announcer giving his box score, and then you have another announcer giving their score or their round scores, and then you have CompuBox giving their scores, and then you have all these different scorecards floating around, and it's like it takes away from the fight, because now it's like, okay, well, if somebody did score this round like this or whatever it is, now you're focused on the previous round and not what's currently happening, and it's just this big jumble of a mess, you know. And I think it doesn't have to be that complicated, you know. I think that, you know, with technology and with just common sense, I think that there can be a workable solution to where, you know, the scoring of fights makes more sense. Now, granted, there's going to be some issues where people have an issue with the round, or where some people have issues with how a round was scored, or there's going to be issues with, you know, one punch here, one punch there, but the whole overall vehicle or the whole mechanism of how they even do the shit, in my opinion, is like assward backwards, you know? So like I said, first issue I have is the rounds like are too opinionated round by round. Like you have too many people's opinions just floating around, and the commentator's job should be to commentate on the sport, not how they would have scored the round, right? I mean, they can comment on it, but there needs to be an official round by round score. That should be a requirement. What is the official round by round score? Because just kind of waiting around and guessing until the judges have everything tallied up, it's like, man, it's a waste of time. You know what I mean? So to me, the fighters, so I know, here's the thing, right? As you guys know, I'm a Jordan fan. You know, I'm team MJ all day long. And MJ's approach to the game to me that's how I approach my everyday life. You know what I mean? You know, when, like, if you're in a timeout or if you're in a huddle and you're going over a play and someone asks you what the score of the game is, the score is always 0-0. No matter how many points you're up, no matter how many points you're down, the score is always 0-0, right? Now, from a coaching standpoint, the coaches need to know what the score of the game is, because that's going to dictate how they use their bench, how they sub players in and out, and how they coach the remainder of the game, right? So, so to me, when it comes to boxing, like there needs to be an official, like the scores need to be determined round by round as you go. It shouldn't be none of this. Wait till the end of the fight. Also, I can go back and fudge some points in round 2 and fudge some. Nah, fuck that. You know, they need to like have an official score. Like once they say, look, this is the score for round 1. This is it. We're moving forward. To me, the score should be more for the trainers, right? That's actually, or the coaches or the trainers in the corner, so they can actually readjust the game plan. Because yeah, you always want your fighter to think they either lost the previous round or the last round was a tie, however you like, you know, whatever their coaching style is. But the coach needs to say, okay, here, okay, from a strategic standpoint, you got to do this because I know what the actual score is, you know? So that to me is a reason why, like, as they progress in the fights, each round needs to be official as you go along. Second issue with how they determine boxing and or determine boxing outcomes or fight outcomes is all the judges, I could be wrong on this, but from what I understand, all the judges or the 3 judges sit ringside and they're like all right next to each other, you know? So to me, like, I have a problem with that because, you know, we don't know, like, I mean, they give the judges names, but these judges are sitting side by side by side. And it's like, if I can see what this motherfucker over here got on his score sheet just because I didn't catch what happened, like I'm cheating off his test, it's like, it just leaves room for error and it just leaves room for corruption, you know? So to me, the judges should be isolated, man. They should be isolated either at different parts of the ring or they should be away from the ring inside the arena. And they should have access to like multiple camera views and they should be able to freeze frame and zoom in, zoom out, you know, rotate, however, change whatever camera views they want to change. But the judges should basically be isolated such that, you know, they are, they're focused on what they're seeing. And then they basically, the way I see it, the way I think it should be is they should basically, be able to look at the fight or go back as the fight's going on and determine their scores and then be able to justify why they scored around the way they did it. So basically that should all be that way. I know I sound kind of convoluted, but I see what I want to say, but it's hard to kind of say it. But what should happen is at the end of the fight, if there's any scorecard that's in question or whatever, like the boxing media should be able to interview the judges. Hey, why did you score this round this way? Oh, I scored it this way because from this angle I saw this, from this angle I saw that, from this angle I saw this. And if you look at the points, bang, 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 boom, done. That's how I got my score. Right? But they don't even do that. You know, it's like the judges are like the kickers in the NFL. You know, like if the fight is going like a certain way to where someone gets knocked out or gets stopped, it's like the judges get let off the hook, right? I mean, yeah, they have scorecards. They've been keeping track of each round, but it kind of doesn't matter because there was a stoppage in the fight. But then if the fight is good and it goes back and forth and it comes down to the scorecards, you got these rinky-dink ass judges that come out of nowhere and then they get to say what happened in the fight. And then there's no justification as to why they scored it the way they scored it, you know? So to me, the judges should be held accountable and they should be able to be like, look, hey, why did you score this round this way? And then they should be able to go back and look at the video footage and even record the footage as they're doing it and just say, look, okay, I scored this round this way because most fighters or most people watching the fight only saw this angle, but I saw this angle, and this angle, and that to me led me to score this point in this way. Right. So I know that was a mouthful, but it just makes sense. You know, now when you do that, when they come up with the scores round by round, what's going to happen is it will delay the scores, right? So the judges are probably going to be on a delay. Like they're not watching the fight real time. They're watching what was recorded, but at least they're doing it in a way where it's accurate, to where it's like, nah, this is where we're at in the fight. This is where you are, right? Like they might not have data for round 4, but hey, round 5, the corner or the judges, the coaches or the trainer might get the score. Hey, round 5. Hey, man, just so you know, or he's not going to tell the fighter, hey, you lost rounds 3 and 4. He's going to say, you know what? If he's losing this round, I have to now change up my strategy or have him change up his strategy. So, he's more in favor with getting the points he needs on the scorecard. So, because think about it, right? Like you don't watch football that way. Like we don't watch football where we don't watch people score touchdowns and get sacked and do all this stuff, and then there's no data, there's no official record of it counting as a sack or a touchdown or whatever, and then there's no way that we don't go into the fourth quarter knowing what the official score of the game is. So why does boxing have to be any different, right? Boxing can, like, it's doable, And then my third issue with how boxing outcomes are dictated, or how with the whole boxing outcome thing, is, to me, in my opinion, they have too few judges watching too many things, right? I could be stand corrected, but I believe there's 3 judges that watch 2 fighters, right? And if you compare that to NBA and like statisticians of the NBA or NFL, you have people sprinkled all throughout, not like in nosebleeds, but you have people like scattered all the way around, and you have one player, or you have one person watching one player for one stat, right? You have one person watching one player for one stat. So for example, you might have like Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? You might have one statistician that is watching him to specifically determine how many rebounds he got. He's not watching the game. He's not watching the score. His job is to count rebounds from Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Then you might have another person whose job it is to watch the number of assists that Giannis makes, right? So to me, boxing should be the same way, right? You should have one person that's watching fighter A for a specific type of power shot, So if you're looking for a cross, if you're looking for an uppercut or a hook, you should have one person that's watching for one type of punch, and they just sit there and they tally that shit up, and then there should be a comprehensive box score where it's like, okay, this person put this input in, this person put that input in, and then just tally this shit up. And when you add it up, the numbers don't lie, right? Now each person should have access to watching each round for what they're looking for, Now maybe I just described CompuBox and don't know it, but to me it's like that makes sense, because I don't know, just watching a sport that is so dope as boxing, to me it's like when you do all that work watching the fight, getting to the fight, like I don't want to be talking about the fight 2 and 3 weeks after the fight about who really won the fight. I want to say, look, officially they did this. This is what they said, and not just what it was, but why they said it was what it was. Like I know we have plays, like for example, like when you look at the NFL and instant replay, right, and you look at the whole Music City Miracle with the Bills, right, where Frank Wycheck threw that pass. It was like you had judges. It was weird, right? Because you had judges or you had officials on the field that looked at the play and they called it or said that it was a legal forward pass when we all know it wasn't. Or no, it was a legal lateral when we know it wasn't. It was a forward pass. But they had to actually go in and radio in to actually look at other people or have someone else that was actually watching it from different angles to help them do it, right? Because that's the thing, right? In boxing, you have these judges that are watching things in real time versus in the NFL, you have referees that are watching the sport in real time And then if they miss something, which they can miss when they do instant replay, they can go back and say, oh, okay, aha. And you should even be able to, if the technology allows for it, and if time allows for it, like a referee or a boxing coach or a trainer should be able to like challenge a specific punch, like he should be able to say, hey, now how did you end up with this? I mean, or just to at least see if a punch even counted, right? There has to be a way to do that. There has to be a way, man. Just sitting back and having judges judge some. Here are my like big issues, right? The big issue is really just the outcome of the shit. Like to me, the judges should have to, like, if they're asked, hey, why did you score this round this way? They have to be able to go back and itemize why they went and tallied it up a certain way. Like I don't really see that. I mean, I've seen it happen maybe like once or twice, but it needs to happen more often where judges are like, no, I scored it like this because per this angle and per the rules of boxing, this is a legal punch or this is a legal point, But yeah, because like I said, it's just frustrating, man, when you're sitting there and you're watching this fight. Because to me, like when I was watching the fight at like around round 11 of the Loma and Devin Haney fight, I tweeted out draw. I was like, Haney hasn't really showed me anything, and Loma to me was doing more, right? But then it gets into the whole fact of the matter of, okay, well Devin Haney has all the belts and he's undisputed. So if he has all the belts and he's undisputed, Loma's gonna have to do more than Haney to win the fight, right? Where if it's a draw or a tie, then you're gonna give it to the guy who has the most belts, and to me that's kind of even silly even talking like that, because when you look at football, right? When you look at football, or let's look at basketball, right? When you look at the Golden State Warriors, right? They were the NBA champions last year. When they go into the playoffs, there's no special rule that says, hey, if you want to beat the Golden State Warriors, you have to win 5 games out of 7 instead of 4 games out of 7. It's like, nah, you got to win 4 games out of 7, just like everybody else, So, I don't know. Those are just some of my thoughts on how boxing outcomes can be improved, but it is what it is. I'm still gonna watch it, but like I said, it's very frustrating when that happens. Let me see who's checking in on little old me. Terry said, trying to see. Man, my resolution on this screen is poor. I can't even see what it says. Oh, that fight was straight BS. Yeah, I mean, different people saw the fight different ways, man. It's like you're seeing, it was almost like, I would say like half of the people I talked to about the fight, half of them said, well, a third said Loma won, a third said Haney won, and a third said draw, so it's pretty much evenly split. I think what sucks about that is Loma can't challenge Haney again, right? Haney has to now, Haney basically says, look, I beat him fair and square, so I don't have to fight him again. And to me, it's like, nah, to me, it was a draw. Like, I want to see him running back, so it is what it is. But in my mind, I'm gonna tell you right now, before the fight, I had Shakur and Tank, like basically in that weight class, it was either Shakur or Tank, and then right underneath them was Haney. But after that fight, that gap between Haney and Tank got widened. Like I don't know. Like I see Tank knocking him out, and I see Shakur just dominating the scorecards, and it could even be a stoppage, So that's why they have to. That's why at the end of the day, it's like, to me, it's like I want to see Haney hurry up and fight somebody, because to have all them belts and to be undisputed, knowing that you got two other fighters that we already think are like better than Haney, to have him sit on them belts now, that's, I don't know. Hopefully he hurries and fight somebody, because here's another thing too, right? I think Haney, I think the style that Haney fought against Loma was it wasn't the best style to fight Loma with, but I think if you use another, I think there's like another style he could have used to fight Loma to make it more convincing. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, that's the style that he went with, you know what I'm saying? So let me see what else. So I don't know what fight they were watching. I mean, yeah, man, it's like, yo, if you go on YouTube, go and entertain yourself, man. If you go on YouTube, you'll see people that basically have the fight like round by round, and they're sitting up there saying, that's a hit, that's a hit, that's a hit. And then it's like, nah, I don't think that's a hit. Like, you can argue, like, you can actually go around and say, nah, I don't agree with that, you know, punch by punch. But I don't know. I think the funny thing was, like, people that thought that Haney won, like, their arguments are super careful, and they're like, it's almost like they kind of, like, me personally, I wanted Haney to win, but based on what I saw, I didn't think he won the fight. I think it was a draw. That's just my 2 cents on it. But it is what it is. So coming up, we got, let me see what else we got coming up. So this just got announced not too long ago, or it's kind of been in the works. Let's hope it even happens. But this is the fight we all been waiting for right here, man. Spence and Crawford. This is the fight we've been waiting for years, man. You know, two great fighters in their prime. When Errol Spence first came out, when I first found out about Errol Spence, I was like, oh wow, he's nice. But then when I started watching Bud, aka Crawford, that Bud is a bad dude, man. Like, this is gonna be a classic fight. I hope it turns into a trilogy fight, you know, because I really hope it turns into a trilogy fight, because you got Spence, who's like the bigger fighter, right? He's like the bigger welterweight, and people are saying that he should have basically like moved up, but he stayed behind because he wanted to fight Bud. But when you watch Spence fight, he's like he's a big hitter, you know, and he's a bigger fighter with, like, you know, bigger blows. But the thing that he does is a lot of his punches are kind of wild, right? Like when he fought Ugas, I think it was last year he fought Ugas. I think it was last year when he fought Ugas. I was watching him, and yeah, he won that fight, but he had a lot of wild misses, you know. And when you fight someone like Bud, you can't be missing no wild shots like that, because Bud gonna pick your ass apart. You know what I'm saying? So if Spence keeps the punches tight and charges forward, it's gonna be a very interesting, close fight, you know. But if he starts to swing wild, Bud gonna piece his ass up, you know. But Bud, on the other hand, like when I watch Bud fight, man, this dude is like very crafty. He's very crafty. He doesn't blink. He sees every punch. He switches up from you know, southpaw to he can go back and forth between that and traditional stance or whatever. Thing with Bud, every Bud fight I saw, I always thought there was a point where he was losing the fight, or I thought, like, you know, the other fighter had like a legitimate shot. But what Bud was doing was Bud was basically baiting them dudes to do something, and then he just exposed them and then just ended the fight quick. So that's what makes Bud, to me, like the better fighter in my opinion. Like when Bud fought Sean Porter, right? Sean Porter is like he was one of the fighters I like to watch before he retired, you know, because the thing with Sean Porter was he was always an underdog, and or most of the time when it came to the bigger fighters, he was an underdog. But what Sean Porter did was he was like styles make fights, right? So he always had a style or a way to fight fighters to where everything we thought that was going to happen just went out the window, you know? But when he fought Bud, Bud adapts on the fly. Like he makes adjustments on the fly. And I believe Porter's father was ringside or was his trainer during that fight. And I think his dad threw the towel in because he threw something, because he saw something in that fight where he saw something that Bud was doing, and if he stayed up any longer, it was going to get ugly. You know what I mean? And then right after that, maybe like a day or two later, I think it was, or a week later, within the week, Sean Porter retired. You know, because he was at the tail end of his career anyway. You know, and he's having a great career, like announcing, and he has his podcast. But Bud, to me, like the way I see it going with this whole Spence Crawford fight is I see a trilogy. If you look into my crystal ball, I see a trilogy. And then in the first fight, I see it being a decision going to Bud. Second fight, I see a draw. Third fight, I see Bud with a stoppage. That's just how I see it, you know. But like they say, styles make fights, and we have to wait until the fight happens. So hopefully this fight happens, because we've been waiting for it for a long time. And this is up there. It's probably going to be one of those greatest. This is probably like one of the best fights in the past like 30, 40 years, you know. So I can't wait for this joint. Before I go any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, do all that fun internet stuff like the old people say. AT is where it's at on most forms of social media, so follow me. So what else we got going on in the media? Oh man, we gotta talk about these clowns, man. Oh man, this is hilarious. So I'll see what Terry said. She said, who was the boxer who jumped in the ring after the winner yelled out, "I'm the champ," and homeboy said, "Yeah, for now"? Oh, that was Shakur Stevenson. So Shakur Stevenson is like is the fighter that everybody is like big on right now. Like Shakur Stevenson is that dude, man. Like he has like the whole, like Shakur Stevenson, and when it's all said and done, I think Shakur Stevenson is going to be the one that is going to be the one on top in that class. But we're all waiting for that Tank and Shakur Stevenson fight, but it's not going to happen yet, because you got to get the money bag. Like they got to get the bag shirt up first. So the question is does Tank go ahead and fight Haney right away just to get the belts to make Shakur have to chase Tank? Or does Shakur go after Haney and get all the belts to make Tank have to go and chase him for the belts? You know what I'm saying? But what I really want to see, man, I really want to see Teofimo get back in the mix, man. I want to see Teofimo get back in there against Haney. You know, like if Teofimo, like we all said, styles make fights. But if Teofimo beat up on Loma, and Loma, like, you know, quote unquote, drew Haney, I want to see what Teofimo does against Haney. I think that would be a good ass fight. You know, I mean, there's so many. I want to see that weight class mix it up even more, man. I think Rolly needs to fight. Rolly's not quite up there yet to me. I mean, Rolly is nice. I don't know why, but I still want to see Rolly fight Garcia. I think that would be a good ass fight. And I would even want to see Rolly fight Teofimo, you know? But we got to wait and see what they do. But to me, they need to be making these fights happen, you know? 'Cause I feel like during the pandemic, I feel like they missed a golden opportunity with boxing. Like UFC got it. UFC said, you know, they had the whole Fight Island thing or whatever they did. And I still watch UFC, you know, but boxing, to me, I think they should have like really got on it and just had more fights, because when we came out of the pandemic, people would have been even more, and it would have been even more hype, you know? But yeah, moving on right now, we got to talk about these two clowns in the media, man. We got to talk about my man, Kwame Brown and Shannon Sharp, man. Kwame Brown and Shannon Sharp, man. This this made my week, man. You know, so if you guys aren't really familiar with what's going on in the media, basically after that game where the Lakers lost to Denver, right? Where the Lakers got swept. Kwame Brown came out with a rant on his YouTube page or whatever, and he was talking about how he was mad that, you know, he basically was mad that he was mad at the play call and the choice of shot that LeBron tried to go for, right? So he was very critical of LeBron on that one shot. He wasn't trying to like tarnish his legacy. He wasn't trying to diss the man. He wasn't trying to say he was a bum. He just said, look, you know, with this last shot, this is what you chose to do, right? He tried to drive to tie the game up. He tried to drive it in, and look for the foul, right? That's basically what happened. Like he was going in to look for the foul, and you can't, in that situation, you can't leave it up to the refs. You know, what Kwame was trying to say was, you know, Jordan or Kobe would have pulled up and had that shot, and they would have at least got the shot up, right? But LeBron was in a situation where he drove and he couldn't even get the shot up to go for the tie, you know? So he said, so he had his little comments about that. And then Shannon Sharp, you know, is team LeBron all the way. Like he's like LeBron times 10. Like he's a big LeBron fan, man. And he took it personal, you know? He took that as a shot at like, okay, well, because, you know, Shannon Sharp is one of those guys that thinks that, you know, that LeBron is up there with Mike, you know, as the GOAT, you know, and that's for other people's opinion or other decision. That's their decision that they want. That's everyone's, I guess, opinion. However, you know, because then people are going to try to talk numbers and you can talk numbers and stats all you want, you know what I'm saying? But you can't look at stats in a vacuum. That's what people mess up, right? They look at numbers in a vacuum. They look at numbers flat. And you can't do that because all statistics is they're a measure of how much work it took to get the win. If you don't get the win, the stats don't mean shit. It's that simple. How about we do that stat, right? How about you look at I guarantee you, like I should probably do an analysis on this, you know? That's actually pretty interesting. I just thought about that. Like the only stats that should matter is when you won the championship that year. So you got to start with a championship year. And then in your championship year, you have to, or the year that you won the championship, you have to then go back and look at all the times you won and basically take out all the losses where you had to basically zero out all the stats that are associated with losses, right? So if you look at the tier and just break everything down and start with, okay, did you win the championship this year? Okay, cool. We can look at the stats for that year. If you didn't, the stats in that year don't matter, right? If you do that, I think you'll come to see that, you know, it'll be obvious who the GOAT is, you know, but that's for y'all to figure out or to go determine. But I mean, like I said, if you look at just numbers flat, you can't do that because you can put up all the numbers you want. If you're not winning, what the fuck is the point, you know? But anyways, man, Kwame Brown was frying Shannon Sharp, man. I was crying listening to this video, man. He was calling him a thick tongue country like, man, Kwame Brown was lighting his ass up, you know? And here's where I think Shannon Sharp was out of pocket, man. Let me get a drink of water. My voice is getting a little raspy. So, like, here's where I think Shannon Sharp was out of pocket, right? Shannon Sharp was out of pocket here's the thing. You can say he was a bust. Kwame Brown even said he's a bust, you know? But the point, what Shannon was trying to do was Shannon was trying to disqualify his comments because he was a bust. And you can't do that because Shannon Sharp didn't even make it to the NBA, right? So Kwame had a valid point. Kwame's point was Shannon Sharp never played in the NBA. Never played college ball, I don't think. And Skip Bayless never played high school ball, yet alone college ball. You know, so if y'all haven't even, if they haven't even made it to the NBA or haven't even played at a competitive level in college, and Kwame was the first overall pick in the draft, and he played with Kobe and he played with Mike, his opinion probably should matter more than y'all's opinion. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that they didn't realize that, and those guys are commentators, that just shows the acumen of the ability of their commentating, right? So to me, I think Kwame is poking the teddy bear, man. Kwame knows who to poke, when to poke, and how to poke, you know? And they keep falling for the trap every time, man. So it's fun to watch Kwame Brown, you know, go at the big dogs, man. It's fun to watch that, man. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, man, watch that shit. That shit is hilarious. Oh yeah, a few days ago, man, I got into a very heated, tell you, man, this whole Michael Jordan, LeBron, GOAT conversation, man, it's getting like a little too tense, man. I saw somewhere in the news where someone shot somebody over their opinion of LeBron and Mike. I'm like, man, it's coming to that, you know, because I remember I was at a few years ago, I was at my grandma's birthday that we celebrated out at the casino, and one of our family friends, they're like a LeBron fan, you know, they're a big LeBron fan. And we were at the table, and I think the Warriors were playing the Cavs in the finals that year. And it just came up at the table, you know, Michael LeBron. And I said, Mike. And this dude was in his feelings. Like, he looked like he wanted to fight. Like, he just got quiet and he just looked real upset. I was like, bruh. I'm like, yo, both of them niggas got millions, if not almost billions. You know what I'm saying? And they're not that serious, but it is Mike. But man, that shit is hilarious, man. People are just so worked up over that, you know. Just so worked up over it, man. So the other day I was in the car driving home, and my cousin E hit me up, man, and he put another friend of ours on three-way, and we got into the whole, well, first we got into the Loma and Haney debate, and then it kind of pivoted into the Jordan and LeBron debate. And man, it was ugly, man. I'm up here shouting at the top of my lungs. He's cutting me off. I was like, man, nah, fuck that, man. So I started cutting him off, and man, we were just going back and forth. And you know, my argument to this day, why, like, my opinion, like why I'm always gonna pick Mike over LeBron, is because of Mike's approach to the game. You know, like Mike basically was in the moment where LeBron was kind of more like, I feel like LeBron tries to reverse engineer success, and he does so using flat numbers, where sometimes you'll win, sometimes you'll lose, but you're not gonna like you're not guaranteed to win that way, you know. Like, his whole thing is, if I score X number of points, and if I score, or if I grab X number of rebounds, or if I get X number of assists, and if my bench gives me this type of production, and if I have this coach, then we should win the game. And then and to me, that's like my corporate America mindset. That's like my job. That's like how my mindset is in work in corporate America, you know. Like, I want to do the least amount possible to get the biggest outcome, right? So, like, when I'm in corporate America and I got like jobs or tasks I got to get done, I say, look, if I spend X number of hours, and if I do this, and if I spend under this amount of budget, then I should accomplish this task by this date, right? And to me, like, that to me is like, I don't love working for corporate America, right? So if you do something that you love, and you're going into it thinking, hey, all I should have to do is this, and this, and this, and this, and that should be enough, then it might be enough, it might not, you know. But when you look at Mike was like always in the mindset of it's always 0-0, no matter what, no matter how much we're up, no matter how much we're down, the score is always 0-0. And when you approach life like that, you know, and you're in the moment, you're gonna win more times than not. Just look at the percentages, you know. So that's my, like, that could all be hogwash. If you think LeBron is better, cool, more power to you, you know. But like I said, I have my rationale and I have my reasoning, and it is what it is, you know. But what I think people hear when I say, you know, when people hear me say I'm always gonna go LeBron, I'm always gonna go Mike over LeBron, people think that I think that LeBron is a bum, and he's not. LeBron is one of the greatest to ever do it, you know. But when it comes to splitting hairs, when it comes to determining the GOAT, it's basically you got to split those hairs, you know. I think LeBron came into the game wanting to be the GOAT, where Mike came in just wanting to be the best at that time, right then and there, you know. Like, he was more focused on, like, if you're not the best now, right, then how can you worry about what someone else did in a whole nother era? You know what I'm saying? You can't. Now when I saw Mike play as a youngin' growing up, man, I just never seen anyone play any sport with that kind of determination. Like, he was determined not to lose, yo. Like, he was like, it's almost like it's a disorder. Like, he just doesn't want to fucking lose, you know? And he's gonna do everything he can in his power not to lose. Where I feel like where you got to give LeBron credit at is LeBron, like, we're never gonna see someone this durable in any sport, you know? Like, LeBron, like, what he put his body through, and just the number of games he played and all that. Like, you gotta, like, end of the day, it's like, when it comes to LeBron, like, he was a great in his own own respect, you know. So anyway, let me go and get off of that. So yeah, you go on YouTube and look up Kwame versus Shannon videos, man. And man, I'm telling you, Kwame ate that dude up, man. Unk needs to go ahead and chill. He needs to learn who to, basically, if he would have just ignored Kwame's comments, none of this would have happened. But Kwame poked the bear. Shannon bit back, and Kwame ate his ass up, man. You know. So next topic on hand, because we're about to wrap up in a little bit. Gotta talk about I don't want to talk about that picture. Right now, like I say, I'm watching this show on TV called Bridgerton. I've seen it in my queue for so long. I said, let me go ahead and watch this joint, because I heard some people talk about it. My mom, she talked about it like up front, way in the beginning, like when it first came out. But Bridgerton, man, very entertaining series on Netflix. I suggest if you bored and you're looking for something to do, go ahead and put that thing on, man, and be entertained, you know. But Bridgerton, man, like I said, it's very entertaining series, but you have to remind yourself that it's not a documentary. You know, there are names in that in the series that were real people in real life, but it's like you have to like learn how to balance out history with, you know, fiction. And the one thing I'm noticing I finished seasons 1 and 2 of Bridgerton, right? And then if you didn't know, Queen Charlotte is like the prequel, so to speak, of Bridgerton, right? And it deals with Queen Charlotte of England. And it's here's what I will say about the show, right? To me, it's fun. Like it's not a comedy, but I be laughing my ass off at like certain scenes, because there's a lot of funny things that be happening in that show, in my opinion, you know. But it's supposed to be a romance, you know, series or whatever. But my take on Bridgerton, like I said, like one thing I'm noticing, and this is no shade, but as a black man, you know, I look at things through the black male perspective. And what I'm noticing is all the black males in Bridgerton and Queen Charlotte, they are either wicked, or they can't do for themselves, right? Every last one, right? They need someone to come and either they need someone to come and save them, or they're wicked, or they make a wrong decision, right? Whereas all the other non-black people in the or I would say everyone, well, I say everyone else, I can't say non-black, where everyone else, including the black women in the show, they either can do for themselves, or they're what's the word I'm looking for? Either they can do for themselves or they can help others, right? That's kind of like the general gist I'm getting. You know, even when you look at the Duke of Hastings, right? You look at the Duke of Hastings, you know, his father was evil, was wicked, mean, cruel. So Danbury had to, or Lady Danbury had to basically raise Duke of Hastings and bring him up and give him confidence or whatever. And then, so without Lady Danbury, Duke of Hastings wouldn't be who he is. And then, the Duke of Hastings, even though he got brought up that way, he was in a situation where he was talking to Daphne, or, you know, courting Daphne. And he was in a situation where, you know, he couldn't even ask her to marry her, you know, so he had to be saved by Daphne, right? So it's like I said, it's all entertainment, but that's one thing I definitely picked up on, is like, how are they portraying all the black males in this series? And yeah, it's always, there's someone always helping the black man out, or the black man is bad, where everyone else can do for self and they overcome, you know? So, like I said, it's not a bad series. Like, it's just something to note, you know? It's very entertaining. I'm still working through Queen Charlotte. It's a different, even though it's part of Bridgerton, it's like a different kind of flow. It's very, you know, it's kind of slow, but I'm kind of, you know, picking up on it right now. Right now, I'm on episode 3. Let me see right quick. She said the Bridgertons is more about a love story, but Queen Charlotte deals more about mental health. Okay, I can see that. Okay, not going to disagree with that. Let me see. Let's go ahead and talk some. Let's go ahead and move on to some DFS, man. Because, man, I've been talking for an hour. My voice is getting weary. Before we go any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, do all that fun internet stuff like the old people say. So let's go ahead and talk some DFS. So right now, your boy is kind of cooling off right now, right? I'm kind of cooling off. But for the past couple of weeks, man, I was hot. You know, I was hot. When it came to DraftKings, man, this past, man, I was hot. I mean, young. I was I remember like at one point I was playing this one competition, and man, I think I was in second place, and I was winning $500 for like a good portion of the day. I was like a point or two behind first, who won like $2,000, but I ended up only winning like $20 that day, you know. But that's a good problem to have, you know. I think in that competition I put up 5 to win. I put up $1. I put up $1, and I almost won like $2,000 off of that. So that's crazy. But I won $20 off of that, so I'll take that. And then but yeah, but like I said, your boy's cooling off. But my method is still like giving me or still yielding me optimal results, right? Like I don't spend a whole lot of time picking lineups in baseball. I spend probably maybe like 10 minutes max. And I've seen anywhere between like 20 and like $15. And that all adds up, you know? Excuse me. So, like I said, I'm still sticking to my same method. And I'm probably just gonna keep making sure I'm gonna keep doing this method the same. I'm gonna keep doing the same method. You know, basically it's the basically I'm tracking categorical placement of players that won in the perfect lineup in the previous day. Damn, it's loud as the kids outside. I'm not sure if you guys could hear that, man, but it sounded like they just, I don't know, they're outside making noise. Yeah, they think this hallway upstairs is a goddamn playground, and the mom is no better. The mom is saying, "Hey, just go upstairs and ride your scooter up and down this hallway." You know, you got people out here trying to be successful. You got people trying to work. Man, just get on the bus and go take your ass to the park, man, and go play in the park or something, you know. But running up and down this hallway while people trying to work and conduct business, man, is not. Anyways, that I didn't mean to get off on that tangent. Anywho, let's go ahead and talk some more DFS, man. So like I said, let me go ahead and show y'all what I've been doing. I'm not going to show you my win-loss because you know, don't need to. Just take it from me that I'm winning more than I'm losing. But today, what I want to do is I want to actually just probably, let me just go back and double check my lineups to make sure that nobody is out. Because in baseball, they be doing that tricky shit, right? In baseball, what happens, man, is you got to double check to make sure that they're not scratched. That's the most annoying thing with baseball is that's why I don't like spending a whole lot of time like picking my lineups, because these players, these coaches will basically scratch players at the last minute, you know? And then all that work you did is for nothing. So let me go ahead and let me look at let me just do one player let me just show you guys the method to my madness, right? So yesterday was May 25th. And what I typically, let me actually make this bigger so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So you guys can see what I'm talking about. Boom, there we go. Let's go ahead and break this down. So what I do is, let's just start with tier 6. And for tier 6, let's look at who was the leading scorer in tier 6 yesterday. So yesterday was Brandon Nemo with 19 points, right? So what I'm looking at is I want to see where did Brandon Nemo place in all the other categories, right? So when I look at value, Brandon Nemo was second. When I look at salary, he was second. When I look at player projection, he was first. When I look at daily matchup, he was fourth. When I look at consistency, he was first. So he has 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Floor, he was third. Floor value, he was fourth. Ceiling, he was last. And then ceiling value, he was second, right? So he was second 3 times in all these lists. So what I do now is when I go to the actual current slate for today, for May 26th, I'm looking for anyone that I'm looking for who ends up in the second place slot the most. Let me just double check that right quick, make sure I'm not. Yeah, who ends up in the second place slot the most, right? So I go here, start off at sort by value. So second place spot, we got Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward 2. Brian De La Cruz. I feel like I'm looking at a different lineup. Brent Booker. JP Crawford, second. Brian De La Cruz, second. JP Crawford twice. Brent Rooker, Taylor Ward. I think that was a tie shit. So I think on this one I had to actually go back and look at the projected ownership to see who was second. So it's Taylor Ward, Brian De La Cruz, and Taylor Ward. Interesting. Wow. So I thought before I had Crawford. JP Crawford. Yeah, looks like I got to make the change. I got to change that to so basically today for tier 6, I look at who finished in second, or who basically was ranked second amongst who ranked second the most across all these categories. And it's looking like Taylor Ward to Taylor Ward came up what? Yeah, 3 times. And then that's 4. That's 5. Wow. So I got to go back and change that. So that's what I do for each player. So actually, this was for a different contest. This is for the late contest. Yeah, I had I had Crawford. So I got to go back and make this Taylor Ward. And that's how I do it. So that's the method to my madness. Uh-oh, it can't determine my location. Yeah, DraftKings will do that every now and again. But that's what I do, right? That's my simple little algorithm. That's my algorithm, man. I basically, let's go back and review. So what I do is I look at the previous perfect lineup. I look at who won that tier. And when I look at who won that tier, I look at what place. I look for the player that finished. I look for that player specifically, and I look at the number of places. What was their max number of places per slot, if that makes any sense. All right. So out of all the 10 categories, if they finish first or whatever place they finished in, if they did it 3 times and that was the most, then that's what I look for. Then I go to the next slate for the next day or for the current day, and then I look for who is ranking in that 3rd slot, or whose name comes up the most in that slot, and then I go with that player for that slot or for that tier. So I hope you guys understood. If not, put it in the comments. I'll try to explain it and write a white paper on it. But I got to get my money first, man. 'Cause I got to get this bread, man. Like right now, I'm still playing with house money right now. Still playing with house money, you know? Like I remember one time I think I was down to like $4 in my account. And then I got up to like 40 or 44. Now I'm like back down to about 30. So the goal is to, like I said, right now I'm only doing dollar lineups. You know, I'm only doing $1 here, $1 there. But if I win like 500, anything over 100, I'm gonna start playing them $5 ones, right? Because if you play the $5 lineups, that's how you can end up getting a couple stacks. You know, I'm trying to come away with 10 racks, you know? But it is what it is. Then we got basketball, man. I'm really struggling with the Captain Showdown mode in basketball. Like, man, that's kicking my ass, you know? Like at first I thought I had it figured out. But nah, like it's first I was tracking minutes, then that doesn't really work, and then it's just yeah. So I got to actually rely on my own eye to see kind of who's doing what, and then make a prediction on that. You know, but I'm struggling with the Captain Showdown mode, because the Captain Showdown modes are the ones where you can put up like 20 and win 150,000. So that would be nice if I could figure a way how to get that done. But until then, I'm still nickel and diming it. $1 here, $1 there. But that's it for that. Oh, and the Celtics, man, I think they're gonna come back and win this series. I think they're gonna be the first team to ever come back down 0-3 to win the series, because they had the better record. They got home court advantage. And the Heat players are getting hurt left and right. So it's going to be interesting, you know, but I'm just hoping that, like I said, I'm grateful that we have another game before, or we have another 2 more games. 2 more games? Yeah, we have possibly another 2 more games before the finals. So I'm definitely happy about that. What else we got coming up, man? Tomorrow I will be in Huntington Beach at the Amazing Comedy Theater working out some material. So just working out some stuff. I got some Buffalo Bills jokes I'm working out. I want to do a comedy bump right quick to kind of wrap up this episode. So this comedy bump is very like it happened a few weeks ago, but I didn't see it as a comedy bump, but I'm glad that I took the time to analyze it. But here we go, right? So basically what happened was I'm at a writer's mic with other comedians, and I'm running material, right, for another show. And I have this joke about online dating sites. It's an old joke, but I basically compare it to basically I compare it to ordering a pizza. I'm not giving you the whole joke because I don't want someone to take my unique take on it and run with it, but just pay attention to the lesson and not the joke, right? So I've been doing this joke for a while, and I did it at like a lot of black rooms. And when I do it in black rooms, man, it was getting like good responses. It was like, oh, okay. It was like, oh, this is different. Like, you know, but I went to a writer's mic, and there were, you know, comedians that had higher rank than me. And I was thinking about doing this joke for a showcase or whatever. And one comedian who has like higher status than me was like, don't do that joke. It's not you. It's mean spirited. So I lost confidence in the joke, right? I'm like, man, okay. And then there was a black comedian and another black female comedian in the audience. And she basically was like, yeah, that's not true. And I'm like thinking to myself, you know, how are you going to like discount my experience, you know? So basically it came to this whole debate where I kind of got ganged up on, not like ganged up in a mean way, but everyone was like, yeah, nah, like that's not true. And I'm like, okay. Then they were trying to tell me, hey, write it this way and say it this way. And I said, nah, I'm not doing that. You know, that's not how, if I were doing that, then I would be basically pandering, and I'm not a pandering comedian, right? So I think there's a fine line between pandering and playing to the crowd, you know? So I was doing this. So basically, like I put the joke on the shelf. I didn't give up on it, but it's on the shelf because I feel like there's another layer of truth, right? So here's what I kind of gathered from that whole situation, all right? So what I gathered from that whole situation was, if you want to be a professional feature act, then it's probably in your best opinion, or it's probably in your best interest to pander a little bit more, you know, because you want to play to the audience and you want people to like you and laugh at you. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just not what my end goal is, right? my end goal is to be a headlining comedian, right? By skill, not by title, but by skill. And to me, it's like, and I'm glad I have the experience I have in comedy right now, because if I was a young comedian, I would basically have thrown that joke away and thought, okay, that's a bad joke, never go down this path again. But the more experienced version of me is like, you know what? Nah, you did it before. It gets laughs. So, but there's some discrepancy with respect to the opinion of the joke, right? So, I'm basically like, to me, there's more truth that has to be uncovered, right? And that's one. So the whole moral of the story is, or the whole gist of what I'm trying to say is just because someone doesn't find something funny, it doesn't mean that it's not true, right? So if you're always trying to get laughs and all you care about is laughs, then you also have to like be careful of what's not true, you know, because you might get up there and say shit that you don't even feel, but if you're doing it just to get laughs, then at some point it's going to come down to where, you know, where when you're facing yourself on that stage, to where when you're fighting yourself, if you're not being true to yourself, you're going to give up, like, you know what I'm saying? Or you're going to cave in. So, not like I said, it wasn't bad advice. It was just another perspective. It was, oh, okay, well, I don't, basically, I don't know how to put it. I was kind of told not to tell my truth. And to me, in comedy, you should never not tell your truth, no matter how bizarre it is, no matter how awkward it is. You have to like not be afraid to tell your truth, but at the same time, you have to be mindful of, okay, are people going to laugh at this? And if they're not going to laugh at it, then why not? Right. So now it's like, okay, that's where the art comes in, you know, where you're telling the truth, but it's not what people want to hear. Right. So how do you like juggle that and do things in an artistic way to where you tell the truth, but you also make it funny to somebody else? That's where the genius lies at, you know? So that was kind of like my comedy bump, right? And it might not have been a bump because, like I said, I put the joke on the shelf to go back and revisit at another time. But I was pretty shocked, like, you know, like that people weren't really, like, nobody was curious about why I felt that way I felt about the joke, or why that was how I saw it, you know? So, it is what it is. Before I go any further, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend, do all that fun internet stuff. Yeah, that's all I got for you today. So, man, thanks for tuning in to the 84th episode of Trippin' with Theobold. Like I said, all my socials are below. AT is where it's at on most forms of social media. So follow me. And also, you can also listen to this on Spotify. You know, I'm also working on trying to get this pushed out to Apple Podcasts and all that. I'm still working on that. But right now, we are here on YouTube. We are on Twitch. And we're also on Spotify. So make sure you guys check it out if you want to hear the audio version only. But with all that being said, I'm out of here, folks. Peace. Yep. Trippin' with Theobold.
Let's go.
Caliente.
Trippin'. Yep. Trippin'. Trippin'. Trippin' with Theobold.
Trippin with Theobold.